Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Wild and Wingless. Today, I've got myself, the South Australian Wingless President, Darryl Sloan. Darryl, thank you very much for joining me.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Over the last few years, I've had the privilege of getting to know you more with some emails and stuff because we've been racing over in your neck of the woods. But for the people out there who don't know Darryl Sloan, the competitor, could you give us a rundown on your history throughout racing and speedway?
Yeah. So as a kid, my dad used to take me to the speedway, and then my dad got involved with one of his work colleagues who raced modified sedans as a pit crew. And then when he decided to retire, Dad sort of came to me and suggested, like, "Are you interested in getting involved in the speedway?" And I said, "Yeah, that'd be great." So we went out and bought a street stock together, and we shared the driving initially, and yeah, spent uh, 10 years in street stocks roughly. Started off in a TC Cortina, progressed up to an XF Falcon by the time we left. And then obviously NOS Sprints came about, and there was a couple of other guys that were racing street stocks with us, the Evans brothers. They came to me and sort of said, "Are you interested in getting into wingless?" And we sort of had a bit of a discussion and ended up both getting a car the same year. And yeah, obviously been in wingless obviously since that point. So the first year was NOS, and then the very next year it then went to AWSR as a national body, and yeah, been involved since then. So it's coming up 15 years now in the wingless division.
Wow, 15 years.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right, so you're racing in the wingless for over 15 years. You've seen a lot of things, I take it.
yes, a lot of things.
Okay, and another thing. So then, when in that time frame did you come from competitor to jump into the put up your hand to become a volunteer for the clubs?
I didn't actually put my hand up. I actually got asked by the original committee. Um, so there was myself and Brad Evans. We were both driving the wingless, and they we filled out our driver profiles, and they saw that Brad was an accountant, so they asked him to be treasurer, and then they came and asked me if I'd be interested in joining the committee, and I sort of said, "Yeah, that's fine. I'll have a bit of a look at it." And they basically put me straight into the vice president role because at the time I think it was Chris Wigsell. He wasn't really interested in doing the role, and so that made the position vacant. And I went on not knowing anything about committees really, apart from what my mum and dad did for me as a kid with my little athletics and committees on the from their side. So yeah, got involved that way. So basically, I didn't really put my hand up. I got asked and accepted a role, and yeah, so gone from there.
Been there ever since.
Yeah,
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 nice. So not only are you, I'm going to say it again, a volunteer. Endless times you give to the club for the South Australian Wingless. You also do hold a role in AWSR as well.
yeah. So that also started from SA Wingless. The president at the time, Darryl Bottom, sort of said, if I'd be interested in going over to a national conference as vice president of the club. And so I went over, and I think it was the second year I went over for the conference. They sort of asked if I was interested in a general committee position, which I accepted. Took the role for 1 year, and then I think the following year, Des Nash was the vice president. He passed away, and that made obviously the vice president role vacant. So I took that up as a casual role, and then the following year got elected to the position. So 2 years as vice president, and then uh, the secretary at the time stepped down from the role, and I somebody asked me about secretary role, so I took that up, and I'm coming up on my 8th year as secretary, I think, or 7th or 8th year as secretary of AWSR. So yeah,
You're
quite
on
a
the
journey.
you're on your way to becoming life member. Well done.
Oh well, actually, not last year. The year before, Brad Evans and I came life members of the SA Wingless
SA.
Club.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so that was quite an honour for both of us because
That's
obviously we've
fantastic.
been almost there from the outset. So maybe 1 year we missed in the initial stages of NOS, but yeah, so we both became life members the same year, which was really great.
Yep.
Enjoyed that. But in terms of life members of AWSR, I don't think you can have a life member of AWSR because AWSR's members are the state member clubs,
Yep.
not the actual people themselves. So,
Right.
but yeah, it would be nice to be, recognised in some way. But like, I don't do it for the recognition. I do it because I love the sport.
No, I definitely don't think you do it for the recognition. I remember seeing you the last time I saw you face to face was Lismore. the Australian title, and you looked very under the weather, mate. And I appreciate it,
Oh,
and we all appreciate you being there that weekend. It would have been hard for you, so, but thank you.
I was pretty crook, and I think I put that down to Scott Yelp's fault. He bloody brought the bug with him, and there was
Yeah.
quite a few people that got sick.
No, that's good. All right, so let's talk about your SA wingless at the moment. So, what have been some of the milestones the club has achieved throughout your time there? Because I mean, you guys would have seen it grow so much.
Well, we've definitely grown in terms of car count. When I first started, we were only at about maybe 12 to 15 cars, and it's really been the last probably I'm going to say three seasons we've really grown. Um, I don't know whether that's because of like unfortunately the demise of some of the other sections in car count in South Australia, and some of the guys when they're coming out of juniors or coming from go karts, they come to join us because maybe we got the good car counts. Um, but yeah, I would say the last 3 years has been the most, I guess, biggest achievement for our club. We've sort of reached 60 nominations last year. We're getting close to 60 again this year, and that's you know I guess due to our car counts and the actual close racing in our division. Like you come to a meeting in SA these days, and it's bloody hard to win, even for the top guys. Like there's probably 10 guys on any night that can win. So
Yep.
yeah, it's really high level racing here in South Australia, I believe.
Yeah. One thing I have noticed, so you guys have is your South Australian Williams is a home of Joel Chadwick, and he would have to be, arguably one of the best drivers we've ever had in the division. And to see him come from South Australia, you guys have got a lot of talent coming out of there right now. Between Tyson Martin, Rylan Furler, Jack McCarthy,
Yeah,
Daniel Evans won last night. Like he's been
yeah.
going great recently. Like so, Ant Tapley, you got so many great drivers over there, and I just think and the fact you guys are racing more regularly, or I mean, maybe it's just me watching because I'm really watching every state now. You're racing a lot more than what we're doing over here on the East Coast. So it's going to be interesting once we get together for WoW Series or the Australian title at Mildura to see how all the numbers sort of stack up. You guys have got a lot of good cars and good drivers at the moment.
Well, I feel sorry for the guys in your neck of the woods because obviously the track demises and the track going ons have caused your issues of not having a lot of racing. So, like, I really feel for your guys in New South Wales in particular. But our program we try to sort of work our calendar out at around 20 race meetings a season in South
Nice.
Australia.
Yep.
And then obviously we get sometimes we get tracks asking to add us on occasions, which if we're free we'll do. Um, but yeah, in terms of like tracks, we probably have 6 or 7 tracks that we race at in South Australia. That includes Mildura, obviously, but yeah, and then you got Victoria got 20 tracks, or thereabouts. They have a myriad of tracks, right? So they're racing nearly every week. But we do have occasions where we have a couple of weeks off, and our guys will then venture over to Victoria if they're racing pretty close.
Yep.
So yeah, no, but in terms of the talent, definitely a lot of talent. You got Mitch Broom as well. He
Oh,
was
I
a
forgot about
was
Mitch
a
Broom.
dual
Sorry. Yes.
dual state title holder a couple of weeks ago until Blake won up in Northern Territory. But
Yep.
yeah, it's definitely a very good talent pool here in South Australia. Yeah, and
Massive.
then Joel's making a little bit of a mini comeback this year.
Yeah,
So
I've been watching that. Yeah. Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's been really good. So recently, yeah, you guys have been racing almost back to back weekends. We're seeing a lot of things. One thing I'm following is obviously the WoW Series stuff because you sort of watch where those drivers are. But yeah, last night was great because a non-WoW car won against all the WoW cars, which shows you that man, competition is fierce over there. Like little South
yeah,
Australia, big punch you guys have, man. That's
yeah.
awesome.
For those people who actually watch the race, I thought it was one of the best races I've seen for quite some time at Murray Bridge with Dan and Jack racing, changing positions, slide jobbing each other.
Yep.
And then you had Matt Kennedy was up there for a little while until we had a bit of a mechanical failure. But yeah, no, definitely huge talent pool here in South Australia. We're proud of our guys, and we hope we represent well on the WoW series, and then obviously going on to the national title later in the year.
Yeah, I've got big hopes for you guys with what you're going to do with that Australian title at Mildura. One thing I do want to say is this year over recent years, not putting anyone down, your social media um, footprint, your getting the information out there to the fans, to the people, has been absolutely incredible. I think everyone's kicked it up a notch. You guys definitely have. You know, Victoria has, Queensland, but you guys have done a fantastic job. It's very good to sort of follow along from other states to see where the cars are starting out of, who's going to be in the event, what the results are at the end. And I think, man, you guys are doing really good over there as a club. So well done to yourself, and obviously you've got a very good committee behind you that do the work with you.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. We try to do our best in terms of getting our club out there on social media. A lot of it comes down to the committee and a couple of other helpers. So we have a real workhorse in the pits on race night, Lynn May. She does all our social media on race
She's
nights.
awesome. Yep, she's awesome.
Does a fantastic job. She's yeah, runs around after heat rounds and gets everyone's pictures, and she does an amazing job.
Yep,
But also, like my committee, they everyone puts in their effort where they need to. Got a great committee. Stable committee is probably what helps a lot.
yep,
A lot of states unfortunately don't have committees that sort of hang around too long, but I like to think that we've had a stable committee for the last probably 6 to 8 years, and that's really helped in the continuity of our club. And yeah, so I'd like to thank all my committee as well while I get the chance. But yeah, it's definitely makes my life a little bit easier having a great committee and real workhorses on race day. So that's very much appreciated.
yeah, absolutely. All right, well let's So you guys have achieved a lot already, and great work from what I've seen from an outsider. What are your plans for the future moving forward for SA Wingless?
Obviously, well, we'd like to. Well, at some of our committee meetings, we do have some fairly lengthy discussions, but I'd like to continue on with our state series. We've sort of, over the last couple of seasons, only got it back up and running again.
Yep,
Excuse me. And this year, we've sort of tried something a little bit different. We've got a state series with a triple crown series as part of the state series, which is a little bit confusing for some people, but just trying something different. And that's sort of on the back of Bordertown coming back online, which they've done a fantastic job down
yeah,
there. So I can't wait to get down there and have a bit of a skid. But yeah, so I'd like to keep the state series going, and I'd like to try and have a round at every track in the state to make it a true state series every
yeah,
year.
nice, nice. Yep,
But that obviously depends on scheduling and the venues themselves. But yeah, that's the plans moving forward, is to keep the state series going. And then obviously in a couple of years' time, I think our rotation's back up again for the Aussie title. So that'll be a bit of a work in progress as well from sort of this point forward. Once sort of WA sort of has their turn next year, we'll sort of start getting heavily actioned on where we might be heading for that one, and then start programming Calcuttas and venues and stuff like that. So it's definitely a long process, the Aussie title.
yep. Yeah, it is, and when done right, look at Lismore for example. It's absolutely amazing, and I just from what you guys did at Murray Bridge a couple of years back, when unfortunately the rain came and put a dampener on that, you guys were head and above many other Australian titles with the presentations. So I'm looking forward to what you guys dish up next year. So
Well, for that title at the Murray Bridge, we had COVID the year before, sort of killed it, and then the year after we did a beer release, and we also did a foot race on the racetrack at the Murray Bridge race course.
yep,
So we try to make it a bit eventful for all the drivers as well. So yeah, it's really good fun. We try to make it fun for
no,
everybody, but can't
yeah.
be serious all the time.
No, no. You touched on a few of those series and events you guys are running. One thing I do love it with South Australian Wingless is the blue ribbon events you guys have. And I think you guys put on a lot of. You have your club races, which is great for people to come into the sport, as you said, coming from karting and whatever other forms, or even just fresh into the game. And then you've got your blue ribbon events where we try and throw a couple more dollars on to put on new tires and stuff like that to try and get a win. But you guys have definitely got a good selection, I feel, of blue ribbon events. Do you guys have you feel like maybe adding to it, or you're happy with your current sort of
So funny you say that because I had a meeting last night with the manager at Murray Bridge, and he's looking to bring the 60 Lapa back.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, yeah. So that's something that's in the pipeline.
Okay.
Just obviously very preliminary talks at this stage, but
Yep.
the hard part for us is trying to find a weekend where we can keep it sort of on its own merits in terms of as well from Victoria and New South Wales, so we can get those cars to come over and maybe have a crack at it. But the last few years we didn't run the 60 lap last season. We haven't got it again this season in the schedule, but the few seasons before that, one clashed with the Vic State title, unfortunately, and then I think the year before there was another blue ribbon event on somewhere else that clashed with it. So we only ended up with sort of around 35 cars, and they were all local cars. So that's a bit disappointing for a major event. But yeah, he's definitely looking to bring the 60 lapper back at some point. So we just got
Yeah.
to try and get it scheduled early so that we hopefully don't get a clash of dates with some of the other states, like neighbouring states to us. So yeah, that's one of the things in the pipeline.
Yeah, nice. Well, that's huge. I'd like, yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that with us. I think it's going to be great if that comes back on because I know a lot of people over here on the East Coast, we talk about those 60 lappers that you guys have.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so, yeah, if it comes on, I'm pretty sure you're going to get a lot of support from us
Well,
all over here.
the first year the 60 lapper started, it was part of what was sort of a mini national series with the made to go venues,
Yep.
organised with Scott Yallop, and was a 10 grand to win show, which Alex Bright ended up winning. But
Yep.
that's the way it goes, and yeah. So the hope is to get it back to sort of that sort of caliber event. Maybe not 10 grand to win, but you know, somewhere up there with a good amount of money to try and entice the guys over.
Yep. No, that'd be good. That'd be good. Speaking about Blue Ribbon events, uh, I guess it's this next thing I want to talk about. It's flown under the radar. I didn't catch on to it till very late piece. It was the Adelaide Invitational. Um,
For the 500, you
for the
mean, for
500,
Adelaide?
pardon me, the Adelaide 500 Invitational. So I know we're coming up to it. It's going to be this weekend coming. Can you shed some light on how that sort of started, to how we got to where we got to, and then with the drivers too?
Yeah, I can. So when I first saw the initial promotional, uh, I guess, event that they held at Rundle Mall in Adelaide with the sprint cars being announced, the very next day I rang the sprint car president, Adam Curry, and said, look, what are they doing? Are they having support categories? Like, how's it work? He goes, oh, still planning. I said, how do we get our foot in the door? And he asked me to sort of draft up a letter. So I wrote up a letter from our club to the Sprint Car Club and the South Australian Motorsport Board, sort of letting them know why they should choose wingless as a support category to start with. I also think maybe Adam went into bat for us a bit as well, but yeah. So I wrote a letter, and then after a little while, I got an email from the South Australian Motorsport Board to join them for a meeting, like a Zoom meeting, and had a couple of meetings, all very secretive. Trust me, I was the only one that knew. Nobody else knew.
Yep.
Very hard to keep your mouth shut when things happen like that. But
Yep.
yeah, very secretive. And yeah, so I had a few meetings with the motorsport board, and then eventually they sort of notified me that Wingless would be the support division, which was great to
Yeah.
hear.
Good. Good.
So then, still sort of secretive, I had to send an email out to our guys for expressions of interest. So I sort of said, oh, if this was to happen, would you be interested, sort of thing, like, even though I knew it was all happening.
Yep.
And I had 31 people from our club
Wow.
reply for expressions of interest.
Yep.
And obviously, it was just local cars. They didn't want anybody from interstate because we only wanted 12 cars just as a, one race, sort of heat race between rounds and
Yep.
stuff. Excuse me. And yeah, so we had 31 interests back, and then we sat down as a committee and sort of went through some names, and then the motorsport board asked me for some recommendations, and I sort of went through some names with them, and then from there decisions were made from their side as to who they wanted selected, and then we had the 12 lucky people that got selected. Unfortunately, we've had one pull out, so
Oh wow.
uh, we ended up just notifying the last person early last week to replace the person that's pulled out. So yeah, very secretive and very very great opportunity for our not only our division but our state club and the sport as a whole. You know, to have that happening in Adelaide Velo 500 is huge for our sport.
Yep.
And I hope it all goes off well. I wish people would stay off social media, stop bagging the bloody event. You know, it's disappointing to see. Not that I'm on social media, but I hear a lot about it.
No, you're one of the hardest guys to track down. Can I say that just for the record? In me trying to reach out to you to try and get this meeting happening using social media was so hard. But anyway, I tracked you down and it was good. It's good. It's worth it. So no,
Yeah,
you're spot
I
on
like the
right.
fact, I like the fact that I'm not on social media because I don't see all the shit that happens and goes on in the
Oh,
background.
yeah. No, you're spot on right. And it's funny. It's like people want to make these outlandish claims, but then what's the alternative? Take it away, and what do we have? So
Exactly.
let's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
work together here. We don't have to see eye to eye on everything. I don't think, and it blows me away because at the end of the day, we've got something in common, which is motor racing. We've got something in common, which is wingless racing. Yet two different ideologies, and we create problems. But no, I think what you've done there is fantastic. I've gone through the list of the 12 drivers. A lot of those drivers I do know. I've seen them around. I've actually seen them with my own eyes race, and I thought that was pretty cool. Um, Man, I think just to be picked, like out of 30 odd people to get 12, mate, that's an honor right there. Like they get to represent their state, they represent their sponsors, their team, and that's gonna be
Yeah.
fantastic.
Definitely is an honour. You know, it's like I said, it's a big thing for our sport, and to be one of the privileged few to be competing at the event, I can't wait. You know, I know I spoke to a few of the guys last night that were at the Murray Bridge. You know, that are competing, and they're looking forward to it as well. You know, it's a real honour, and um, yeah, obviously a very difficult decision. And after the decisions were made, I had people calling me: "Is there going to be reserves? Is there, people if people pull out of, any chance we can change drivers halfway through the thing?" And unfortunately, that was all not going to be allowed to happen. Um, Obviously, we had Jenna pulled out, and we've got now Jesse Alexander filling that void, and
Yep.
um, so it's super difficult to not only put names forward, but obviously for them to choose who they chose. Yeah, I don't know the full way how they actually did all the final selections, but yeah, obviously an honour for me to be able
Oh,
to compete.
absolutely. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're always going to see someone upset or something like that, but you've got to look on the positive side. Already, this has had a domino effect. So I'm not sure if you're aware of it. You guys are doing this down in Adelaide for the 500. Supercars and City International Speedway have gotten together for when they come up to Eastern Creek to race next year, and they're going to put on some sort of event. Now, I don't know if Wingless will be involved in that, but it's just like let's just look at how many other opportunities do we have where we've got a speedway track near a supercar track where we can make sort of a relationship like this form. So who knows? This could kick off something that's going to be massive across the country.
Well, I did hear a rumor last night at the Speedway that this is a 1 year deal with a 2 year option on it, so there
Look at
could
that.
be more happening in the future. So
Yeah.
if it all turns out fine this year, they might go again for the next 2 years. So that's great.
Yeah, and
Good.
you got to look at it like 1 year. Look, I'm sure there's going to be teething problems, but if everyone's just got the right head on their shoulders and we're thinking positive about this moving forward, it's going to be a great event. I can't see it being a failure. But anyway, that's just me. Well done for helping orchestrate or working with the powers above to get that happening, Darryl. I think that's great, and I hope your members understand what a great president they've got because you're kicking some goals there, mate.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah, a lot of I do a lot of work in the background, but like I said, I only do it because I love the sport and I love the division in particular. You know, Wingers is a great division and it's growing more and more every year, even nationwide. You know, we've got two states with 100 cars, and then Western Australia's the next highest with 70 something, and then you got South Australia at 60 roughly, and then Queensland at 50, and Tasmania and Northern Territory are growing. So yeah, it's just a great division to be involved with, and I hope it vows well into the future. So yeah, looking forward to what happens in
No,
the
no,
short term.
And that's the thing. Not only are you this person who gives a lot of time and effort for everyone else, you're also a driver yourself. Um, roughly, you got any favorite racing memories as a competitor?
One of my favourite racing memories was we used to have what we called, it was a state series of Southern Shootout, and I went to Renmark, which is a bit of a one lane little venue there.
Hmm.
And Todd Wigsell, I think, might have been maybe not the reigning Australian championship, but he had an Australian champion in previous years, and I ran second to him at Renmark in one of our state series rounds. So that was a good memory for me.
Yep.
I've only ever had one feature win, and that was also at Renmark with a small field, and
Got to take it when you get them.
that's right. But in terms of my favourite track, I'd have to say probably Speedway City when it was
Yeah.
going. It just, yeah, very wide open track. Plenty of room. Was close to home,
Yep.
which was obviously an advantage. So yeah, it was really disappointing to see that sort of fall away. And maybe this Velo 500 might be able to bring it back one
Might.
day. Who
We don't
knows?
know. Yeah. Yeah. You could do anything. Yeah. So as okay, that's good because I was curious about what your favorite track would be. Where's the South Australian state title this year?
It's in Mount Gambier.
Mount
Yeah,
Gambier. Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
March 22nd, I think, from memory.
Perfect. All right. Now I'll try and keep tabs with you, and we'll catch up before that one. Now, as an official, because you would have seen a lot over the times, what would have to be your favourite memory as an official?
Favorite memories of official? That's a tough one because obviously most of the time I've been officiating and racing on the same days, and um, you've got to try and remember. But I guess as an official, I like travelling as part of the AWSR when I'm not competing in them to the Australian titles.
Yep.
They're big major events, and a lot of work goes into them. And to see them turn out and be successful, like particularly when you mentioned Lismore, that they had such a short time frame to get that up and running and going. A lot of work went into that in the background from not only Lismore but AWSR. So yeah, I enjoy going to the Aussie titles as an official. Um, so yeah, enjoy that, I guess.
Yeah, nice. Just not getting sick. So Scott, stay away from him.
Yeah, yeah. Stay away from Scott. Yes.
Hey, mate, thank you very much for agreeing to sit down with me. I really appreciate it. I know you're a very busy man. Before I go, I'd like to sort of let the people have an opportunity to thank some of their sponsors and people who helped them get down the highway. Do you want to take this moment to thank anyone to help you along the way?
Yeah, sure. We had when we first started racing street stocks, Active Motor Wreckers at Gawler, Ronnie Mayolo and Ricky Mayolo. They helped us out a huge amount, and they still do help us out a little bit with the wingless. So very appreciative of them. Uh, ULX 110 Oils have helped me out for several years in the wingless with my oil and Complete Exhaust. Greg Redette, he's helped me out a lot as well, and obviously great friends with him because he was involved with AWSR as National Tech Officer
Yeah,
for many years, and obviously with SA Wingless as well, and Joel. So yeah, he's a great friend of mine and helps me out a lot. My committee, got to thank my committee. They do a great job. We all get together sort of once a month for meetings and nut out the season and progress through the year. And then obviously my family, my mum and dad, especially my dad, he still comes out and helps me every week when I'm racing. My two
nice.
daughters helped me out initially as well. They're sort of backed away a bit now because they got their own lives, but they help me out. And my wife allows me to do all this as well. So big shout out to my wife. Yeah, she's very supportive of everything I do and the trips away that I have all the time. So yeah, very appreciative of my family. That's about it, to be honest.
Yeah,
Obviously, have a lot of the friends that I've made along the way. Lots and tons of friends in Speedway now, all across the country, and that's what makes the sport is your friendships and your memories of trips away with friends and family. That's what it's all about.
yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Thanks for that. Appreciate.
No,
Yeah,
no. Hey, man, thank you very much for giving up the time because I value everyone's story in this sport that we have. Everyone's got a different story to tell, and I like hearing them, and I like sort of opening up everyone's thing there. But it's good to have a supportive family because we're away from them a lot doing our thing we love. Now, are you going to be? Well, actually, you won't be. So I'm not going to have a beer with you up in Toowoomba because you're going to be at Adelaide having a lot of fun. But
yes.
hopefully I'll catch up. Do you reckon you'll be at the next WoW series round or?
Unlikely, yeah.
Okay,
Sort of. I think I've tried to sort of steer away from that a little bit. Just
No, that's fine.
yeah,
What I'll do, I'll try and see if we can catch up, maybe Mildura or something like that, for a beer and have a chat face to face. Because, as I said, the last couple of years I've sort of spoken to you via emails and stuff, but I've known of your name since we came in the sport, and it,
yeah.
it, it holds you know it, your name is a good name to know. You've been well known in the sport to be a good man, and yeah, continue doing what you do. We do value Darryl, so thank you very much for all the effort you put in, and thanks for coming on the show.
No, thanks for having me, Andrew. It's been an honour, and yeah, go wingless, I
Yeah, there
guess.
we go. Go wingless. Only wingless. All right,
Yeah,
guys. Thanks very much for tuning in for that episode. Yeah, stay tuned for the next one. We'll try and catch up with Darryl after his Adelaide 500 Invitational to get some little inside goss for what he thought about that track. But until then, next time, see you then. Take care.